Charles Warger with Christian Deer Hunters Association with the Big Little Hunting and Fishing Expo. Hope you're enjoying your day. And we're back with another turkey tip on how to judge a tom.
Yep.
And I'm here with my friend Steve Hobby.
Yep, and I'm Steve Hobby with Hobby Outdoors and Hobby Game Calls.
And for this situation, we're going to talk about a tom where we didn't even, or I should say a group of toms, where we didn't even set up a decoy for them. So that's what we'll be discussing in this tip. So with this situation, the main thing was scouting beforehand. So we knew that there was a big flock in the area. We talked to the farmer and we got permission the day before, and we knew that there was a giant flock that was hanging out in this one property. They typically would roost in the pine trees right alongside. We didn't have permission for that property, so if we were going to set up on them, we were going to have to be on this out in this field. They kept it was early season, and they kept hanging out in this plowed field, not a lot of cover, and it was just some fence rows all the way around. So we knew we were going to have to get up and tuck into one of those fence lines or field roads or alongside of a field road, as that's the only structure we had. So we actually broke up into two groups. Steve took the one group, one young kid that tried getting him set up, and he had the camera, so that's the view that you'll see.
Yep.
I also had 2 or 3 youth with me, and we went to the opposite side of the field, and we set up down the corner. That way, the birds typically go 1 or 2 ways, so those were the 2 sections that we set up on. And we figured that no matter where they went, we would have a good chance at them. So we set up on both ends of the field in case the birds went either way. And in this situation, when you were heading out to your spot,
Yep.
you found out you were pretty much right underneath where all the birds were roosted.
Yeah, those things, those birds, they're all up. We got set up there. We walked down. We weren't exactly sure. We knew they were close. We weren't exactly sure what tree they were roosted in. Like I said, they were in that private. We didn't have permission to hunt. Or that Charles mentioned that, and so they're in those pine trees back in there, and where we went in, it was right on the property edge. There's the fence line there, and we had probably maybe like 10 feet of cover right in there between the fence and the property that we could actually hunt, and we tucked in there, and Charles and the other youth went over to the other side of the field, and right away, like early morning. The sun started coming up just a little bit. You start seeing some light, and those gobblers, they were just gobbling like crazy all over the place. I couldn't believe how many were up in those trees. I've never seen anything like it or heard anything.
And again, that goes off of the knowing that there was a big group there. And yeah, it would have been great to have some decoys out. But what you found with my group, we went out and we were far away from all those. We were opposite of the field, and we were kind of tucked back into a little trail even. So they couldn't see our decoy setup from the trees or even when they pitched down.
Yep.
So we were able to set up. I think we had we maybe had this guy, a couple hens. I think we drug those all the way down there, which isn't that big of a deal, being that they blow up so nice. They're lightweight, but we set those up. You, on the other hand, you were right underneath them, and you didn't know because just the conditions. The sun was in the opposite direction.
Well, and the thing too, like Charles, we set or took along that AVNX hen, just that ground, and we were going along the line, and it was a moonlit night. So those birds, if we went out into the field to set up decoys there, they were going to spot us. Yeah. We kind of hear them a little bit when we were going in there, and I knew they were close. Yeah. We thought they might have been close.
If they were out on a leafless tree, a dead tree or something, I don't think the tree's even budded yet. Yeah. And if they would have been up in one of those, you wouldn't have even got where you were set up. But because they were in pines and they were a little more tucked in, you were able to sneak right in underneath them, basically. But that still, it was going to be too risky to go out into the middle of that field, silhouette yourself, give them a chance to see it, because then they're going to be spooked. Yep. So with this situation, you just backed up in there, you got real close to the edge, didn't set up a decoy, and for this situation, it worked just fine. So you don't even need a lot of decoys. You don't need a lot of, don't have to look like a duck hunter out there and have decoys all spread out. Sometimes if you pattern them right, if you scout it out right, for this situation, there were just so many birds. If they split up at all, there was a chance that they were just going to be walking by. I know, Steve, you were talking about you were maybe going to start calling
Yeah.
relatively soon, but that whole flock that landed down there, we have some awesome footage. Just fun to watch
Oh,
them
yeah.
just strutting around and having fun. But a couple of them started breaking off, and then all of a sudden the whole group started coming right towards you.
Yeah.
And that you were going to start calling,
Yep.
but
Well, yeah,
you-
my strategy was when those birds pitched down, there were just so many birds there, and they were so close. I was gonna wait to see which way they started heading. If they were gonna go to the other end of the field, there's like 5 toms at least there. There's
the bunch
5,
of
7, bunch of jakes, bunch of hens. It was a huge flock.
Yeah.
And if they started working the other end of the field, I was gonna just do a little soft calling just to see if I could pull some toms or even jakes off that flock to see if they could, come over to our side and be a little interested and get close enough for a shot. But luckily, that the flock turned, and 2 really nice toms came right by us. And the kid I had taken out, he just wasn't quite ready for him. Luckily, the rest of the flock came back in and close enough, and Tanner was able to take a great shot and harvest his actually first
that
turkey.
was his
So
first
that was
turkey.
his first one.
So that
Yep.
was pretty cool to be part of that one. And then on the other side of the field, after you shot,
Yeah.
that whole flock went
Yep.
running down the field, which was
Yep.
pretty comical for us. We heard the shot, so we celebrated a little bit, like, yeah, hope Tanner got it.
Yep.
And then we see this whole train.
Yeah.
They were single file. That
Yep.
whole flock. I think there were 20 some birds there
Yep.
left.
Oh yeah.
And they were trucking down the field, all single file, which was the funniest thing. Perfectly spaced in between. It looked so ridiculous as they kind of silhouetted themselves coming over the hill to our end of the field. They were crossing to the opposite corner from us, but there were 3 that we started calling when we saw that group, and there were 3 right at the end. One was a nice mature tom, and then there was a jake and a hen, I think, that came off, and they were the last 3 birds of that whole train. So the caboose, they saw our decoys probably 80 to 100 yards away is where that line was trucking through, and maybe 5 to 10 minutes after you guys shot,
Yeah.
those peeled off from the line. The rest of the line went down to that corner. Those 3 came down, and we don't have footage of that because Steve's their cameraman.
Yep.
But they came in and started beating up this guy, and that was Shane put a hurt on
Yeah.
the one that was came over to fight, and he got his first bird. So it was a great morning.
Oh yeah. Awesome one.
It was before the sun even came up that essentially 2 different stands, 2 rookies got their first birds,
Yep.
and it was pretty exciting. So hats off to the decoys, hats off to staying silent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a strategy that does work if you can get in the bird's zone, if you know where they're going to be, and just give them a chance to they just move around. They
Yeah.
go all over the place, and if they're coming towards you, it's kind of like duck hunting. If they're coming your way, probably don't have to call.
Mm-hmm.
So just the only thing that can happen is you could potentially screw it up, especially when you're moth calling or something like that. You can hiccup or something sticks just not quite right, and you kind of screw it up. So sometimes it's better just to stay silent.
Yep.
Now you can put a decoy out, and it's a strategy that does work.
So yeah, I guess that's all we got for you today. Hope you enjoyed this Hobby Outdoors quick tip about field judging a tom. So
And thanks for joining us. We'll have more tips to come. And if you're joining us with the Big Lil Hunt and Fishing Expo, there'll be more to come as well. Thank you for your help, your donations, and your support with the Christian Deer Hunters Association. God bless.